Friends, I would urge you to have a look at my earlier video on the concept of attitude of gratitude. This video is a continuation to the same. In this video, I shall share with you a real life experience that I had the privilege of being through and which taught me attitude of gratitude the practical way. This dates back to about 20 years back in history. This was when I had just become a chartered accountant. I had qualified and I was doing my job in a reputed organization, Indian firm, one of the best known Indian CA firms at that point of time in the country. My life in the first 20 years was a bit difficult. We had certain financial obligations on us and I had been through a few hardships while I was studying, and life was not so easy for the first 20 years of my life. In fact, my first goal after becoming a chartered accountant was to make a house of my own. I live in Mumbai, and having a house of your own in Mumbai is not a small deal, it's a big deal. So that, like everybody else, that was my first goal in life, first financial goal in life after becoming a chartered accountant. And I remember within 1 year of me becoming a chartered accountant and joining the job, I found a wonderful property in one of the suburbs in Mumbai. It was a small property, a small 2 BHK house, but in a good locality, in a good suburb in Mumbai, which was meeting all my requirements at that point of time. And most importantly, it was fitting my ticket size. The price of that house is exactly what I could afford as a starter in the CA field at that point of time. I immediately latched onto that opportunity and bought that home. And I was so happy the day I struck the deal. But the very next day, when I went to office, I realized that I got a news from one of my seniors. I would not name the senior, neither would I share the designation of that senior with you, because you would guess who that person was otherwise. So to maintain anonymity, let me not share anything further here. He was one of my seniors. And I got to know that he had purchased a 4 BHK house in that same suburb in Mumbai, and in a much better locality. Of course, he was several designations higher to me. His salary had a few more zeros in it than my salary. So he was earning several times more than me in a much better position. And when I heard that he had purchased a 4 BHK house in that particular locality and in that particular society, now my happiness had turned into grief. End of the day, we are all very, very relative in our thought process. We always try to compare ourselves with others. That's how humans are. That's how our nature is. Everything that I was happy about till that particular juncture had now started making me feel unhappy. I was now not happy about the 2 BHK I had. Rather, I was slightly jealous about the 4 BHK that particular senior of mine now had. And of course, these kind of emotions stay to you. You don't go and share these with anybody else. And I'm sure you people would also have had these kind of situations in life where you have been comparative, you have been relative to somebody else's success. You started trying to evaluate your level of success or growth or happiness in life with the happiness, success or growth of somebody else, and you felt jealous, you felt sad, you felt defeated in that situation. All of us do pass through that phase. Thankfully for me, this was early on in my life when I was just a 22-year-old person. And I remember that very evening, that gentleman, that senior of mine, drove me back home. We had a late night in office that day. We left office around 11 o'clock in the night, and we were staying in the same suburb of Mumbai. So he said, why don't you join me in my car? I'm going alone today. So I happily joined because that would help me save trouble reaching home by the local train that particular night. So I tagged along with him. In those days, you did not have mobile phones, smart mobile phones. So people had a lot of time to chat, to converse, to speak. Our communications in those days were real and not virtual. So his driver started driving the car. We had a chat for some time, and then suddenly he was feeling sleepy. He was very tired, my senior. So he said, "Surojit, if you don't mind, can I just take a snooze? And why don't you also take a snooze while we reach home?" So I said, "Okay, no problem." And of course, I was not feeling sleepy at that point of time. So I started looking out here and there. I still remember the month. This was the month of August. July and August, that was the period. And during this period, generally Mumbai has very heavy rains, and that day was no exception. It was pouring cats and dogs all through the day. In fact, that was the precise reason why I was so happy to get a ride back home, because trains that day were not working properly because of the heavy rains. So I remember this so very clearly. It feels like this would have happened 21 years back, but it feels like this happened just yesterday with me. I remember the car got stuck below a flyover which was under construction. Mumbai was under construction at that point of time. A lot of flyovers were being made all over Mumbai. So this was one flyover which was very close to the domestic airport in Mumbai at Santa Cruz, and we got stuck in traffic below that under construction flyover. And with nothing to look around, I started looking here and there. Of course, I did not have a smart mobile phone at that time to be engrossed within it. So I started looking here and there, and I turned to my right, and what met my eyes was a very pitiable scene. So whenever a flyover is made in Mumbai, you have those slabs being constructed part by part, and all these laborers, migrant laborers who work on the flyover, generally tend to make makeshift residences below these slabs. So this flyover was half ready, and the portion which was half ready, a lot of poor migrant laborer families were staying below the same. So what met my eyes, and this was just about 15 to 20 feet away from me on my right. We were on the road, and I could see the flyover next to me and this family below the flyover. This was a poor family of laborers. I could see the man and the woman in the family. Both of them, they were a young couple, and their house, so to say, was a small tarpaulin sheet. Basically, tarpaulin is that material, plastic material, which people put to make makeshift sheds during the rain. So it was a small tarpaulin sheet which he had tied to four corners of a particular corner of the flyover, and that particular area covered by the tarpaulin sheet was his home during that period. And you know what? This particular laborer was so poor that he didn't even have the money to buy a tarpaulin sheet. This was clearly picked up from somewhere. I could sense that, because this tarpaulin sheet had holes in it at several places, and I could see that all from my eyes, because they were just 15 to 20 feet away from me. So this family of four, the couple, the husband and the wife, and two children, were sleeping on a small bed on the ground. I call it a bed, though by no stretch of imagination did it look like a bed. It was just a rag of cloth kept on the floor, and all four of them were lying asleep on the floor. The couple and their two children. One of their children, he seemed to be a boy, and he was about 4 or 5 years old, and the other child was a newborn infant. He or she wouldn't have been more than 2 to 3 months old, and I could not gauge the gender of that particular child. I'm presuming it was a she. So that poor girl, she was just 3 months old, 2 to 3 months old, and the boy was 4 to 5 years old, and this couple was sleeping. It would have been around 11:30 or quarter to 12 in the night when we reached that particular flyover, and suddenly it started raining very heavily. That's how the rains are in Mumbai. We were stuck in traffic below exactly at that place where this couple was sleeping, just next to it. So I was watching them silently, and the moment it started raining, the holes in the tarpaulin roof gave way and water started dripping from those holes on the poor couple and their small family, humble family. The moment this happened, I realized this family had very intelligently and strategically placed the small infant in one such corner of the roof, the makeshift roof, where there were no holes. So that particular child was completely safe from the rainwater. And all the rainwater was being taken in the order as follows. The father, the male, took the maximum holes on his head. The mother took a few less, and the small child, 5-year-old child, took the least. The infant was completely absorbed and kept in a safe corner. So the moment it started raining, water started trickling from the roof, and I could see this father get up. His eyes were still closed. He had not even got up from his sleep completely. He raised his hands, 2 hands, and put his hands on the holes which were above the head of his small 5-year-old child. So now his goal was to get wet himself, because he had just 2 hands, and ensure that he's covering the holes above his son's head. Same thing was being done by the mother as well. Both got up and they had 4 hands amongst themselves. They put their hands on all those strategic holes where the water was trickling on the poor boy, and they ensured that the boy sleeps happily. He is not impacted by the rain. It would have rained for about 20 minutes. We were stuck for about 15 to 20 minutes, and it rained also for exactly about 15 to 20 minutes. And I could see all through those 15 to 20 minutes, the husband and the wife were putting their hands on those holes and trying to protect their children from the rain. And the moment it stopped raining, they were sleeping all that time. They were sitting and sleeping with their hands held to the tarpaulin roof. And the moment it stopped raining, immediately they had a smile on their face. I could see their eyes closed, and at the same time a smile on their face. They were thanking God. Thank God, the rain has stopped. Now we can go back to sleep. And immediately they were back to their bed. Their bed was now completely wet because water had trickled on their bed for the last 15-20 minutes through the holes, and they did not care. A wet bed is what they were destined for that night, and they took it happily with a smile on their face. My head hung in shame. I had tears in my eyes seeing this incident. I just could not hold myself back. Earlier in the day, I was feeling sad about that 2 BHK house which I had purchased for myself. And suddenly, I was feeling jealous about the 4 BHK house which my senior purchased for himself in a better locality, and I felt sad. I felt I was so unlucky. I felt I was not as rich as my senior. I could not afford a house as good as my senior. And now I see a family in front of my eyes who could not afford 100 rupees maybe to buy a tarpaulin roof which was flawless and which had no holes in them. Can you believe this family was so poor? They did not have the ability to make a permanent house. Forget making a permanent house. They did not even have the ability to buy a tarpaulin roof which had no holes in it. That was the day I learnt my lesson. I immediately looked north and I said, thank you God, thank you so much for this beautiful 2 BHK house you have given me early on in my life, and I shall never complain hereafter about anything which I feel my life is deficient in when I compare it with the life of others. Rather, I shall not get into the comparative mode at all hereafter. I shall never again compare my life with the life of anybody else. I get very emotional. I almost crack, I almost break down whenever I narrate this incident to somebody, because it feels like yesterday. I still can't forget the face of that laborer and his wife and the contentment on their face when it stopped raining. That silent smile on their face gave me a million messages. No shame in admitting a roadside laborer taught me the biggest lesson of my life: attitude of gratitude, thanking God for whatever He has given you, not cribbing about difficulties in life, the bad times that you are faced with, thanking Him in your adversity as well, and let karma handle the rest. That is all I can see through this beautiful example. And the day I stopped thinking negative, the day I understood attitude of gratitude in the true earnest, there was no stopping in my life thereafter. From that humble 2 BHK home in that suburb, we moved to a better house. We changed so many houses thereafter. Today I have real estate with me. I have a bungalow of my own. I have a house in Mumbai. I drive the best possible cars. I'm blessed with a beautiful family. I'm blessed with beautiful parents. I have 2 wonderful kids. I have a great wife and a great support system in her. I am absolutely happy in life, without any regret, without any lust for more. And all of that came into my life since the time I started practicing attitude of gratitude in the right earnest. Today I lead life on my own terms. I live life on my own terms. And that has only been possible thanks to that laborer. I wish I find him someday and I can cut a check for him where I can buy a humble house, whatever little I can afford out of what I have. I can buy a house for him. But alas, he never came back. It's impossible for me to now go and find him. Maybe it was God who came in front of me and taught me this beautiful lesson of life. I thought it makes sense for me to share this with the world at large, because all of us are also passed through similar situations in life where we are very comparative, we are very evaluative, we try to compare our success with others and feel pained when we don't get what others get out of life. Don't regret. Every Jivatma is an entity in himself or herself. Everybody is carrying his own share of karmas and karmic destiny. Live life with a smile on your face. When in happiness, look north, thank God. When in adversity, when in sorrow, look north, thank God. And tell God, God, thank you so much. This was my only plight. This plight could have been much worse. You fractured my leg. Thank you, God. Thank you so much for this fracture. This accident could have been worse. I could have lost my leg forever as well. This leg could have been amputated instead had the accident been bad. Fracture means 3 months of bed rest and I'll be once again on my feet. Thank you so much. You restricted the damage only to a fracture. This did not lead to amputation of my leg. That is attitude of gratitude. So with that small message from my side, I close this video. This is part 2 of my series on attitude of gratitude. Hope you loved it. If you liked it, please click the like button at the base of this video. Also, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please click the subscribe button right away. Please hit the bell button next to the subscribe button so that you receive notifications from my channel. And please propagate this channel to your friends, loved ones, near and dear ones, relatives. Let everybody benefit out of it. There are many more videos, hundreds of more videos like these which are scheduled, lined up to come up on this channel in the days and months to come. God bless you all. Have a wonderful life ahead. Thank you.